What if I told you that many of the beloved icons of Hollywood's golden age battled mental health challenges that profoundly shaped both their lives and their enduring legacies? From Vivien Leigh's battle with bipolar disorder to Montgomery Clift's struggle with addiction and secrecy. Here are 25 golden age actors who were mentally ill. 1. Marilyn Monroe. Her name, Marilyn Monroe, still glimmers with Hollywood's golden light. Her beauty was legendary, her charisma unmatched, yet beneath the shimmering veneer lay a heart bruised by life's relentless blows. Born Norma Jean Mortensen in the year 1926, her childhood was a fractured mirror, reflecting foster homes and orphanages. The warmth of a stable home eluded her, and insecurity became her constant companion. As the world celebrated her rise, from a struggling model to a film star adored worldwide, Monroe fought battles unseen. Behind her iconic smile and sultry persona lived a woman plagued by self-doubt, depression, and anxiety. Typecast as the blonde bombshell, she yearned to be recognized for her talent, not just her allure. Her marriages to Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller, both grand in spectacle, crumbled under the weight of personal turmoil. Seeking solace, Monroe turned to prescription medications to soothe her restless nights and quiet her racing mind. The escape they offered soon turned into chains of dependency. At just 36, her life ended in a tragic overdose. The world mourned her, but her death became a haunting question. What happens when the spotlight becomes a prison? 2. Frank Sinatra. Known as Old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra was the crooner who stole hearts with his velvet voice. His charm was electric, his presence magnetic, but behind the glamour lay a man burdened by storms of his own making. Depression shadowed him, feeding on the turbulence of his life. Sinatra's love for actress Ava Gardner burned bright but erratic, their passion veering into chaos. Infidelity and fiery arguments scarred their marriage, leaving Sinatra devastated when it fell apart. Professional setbacks in the early 1950s compounded his despair. His singing career floundered and financial woes gnawed at his confidence. Yet from these ashes he rose spectacularly, earning an Academy Award for From Here to Eternity and reclaiming his place in the pantheon of legends. But resilience didn't erase his struggles. The relentless demands of fame and his solace in alcohol deepened his emotional volatility. Sinatra's story is both a celebration of triumph and a somber reflection on fame's toll. What does it cost to constantly reinvent oneself, to rise while breaking within? 3. Marlon Brando. Synonymous with brilliance and rebellion, Marlon Brando reshaped cinema with his raw, unfiltered performances in films like A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather. Yet beneath his art lay a soul haunted by shadows. Brando's childhood was steeped in turmoil. His mother, an alcoholic, and his father, a cold disciplinarian, left him craving affection and wary of connection. Fame magnified this isolation. Despite adulation, Brando felt disenchanted with Hollywood's superficiality. He retreated to a private island, seeking escape from the relentless gaze of the world, but instead found deep loneliness. Personal tragedy struck with unrelenting force. The loss of his daughter and the legal battles surrounding his son plunged him further into despair. His reclusiveness grew, and his depression became an enduring companion. Yet Brando's art remains immortal, a testament to the profound depths of his emotion. His legacy whispers a question: can greatness ever fully shield us from life's cruelties? 4. Judy Garland. The eternal Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland dazzled audiences with her golden voice and radiant presence. But her journey was far from the dreamlike land of Oz. It was a labyrinth of sorrow and resilience. Born Frances Ethel Gum, she became a performer before she could fully understand childhood. As MGM's prize starlet, Garland endured grueling work schedules and relentless scrutiny. Studio executives, obsessed with her weight, forced her into crash diets and introduced her to amphetamines to sustain her energy. This dark initiation led to lifelong dependency. Her personal life mirrored her professional struggles. Failed marriages, mounting financial pressures, and the weight of being her family's provider deepened her anxiety and depression. Yet despite it all, Garland delivered performances that transcended her pain, her voice echoing with unmatched emotion. At 47, an accidental overdose ended her life. Her passing was a sobering reflection of the entertainment industry's neglect of mental health. Garland's light, though extinguished too soon, continues to shine, asking, how much can a soul endure before it shatters? 5. Vivien Leigh. Her beauty was ethereal, her talent extraordinary. Vivien Leigh etched herself into cinematic history with roles like Scarlett O'Hara and Blanche DuBois. Yet her brilliance came at a great cost. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder, Leigh's life was a pendulum swinging between euphoric highs and debilitating lows. These emotional upheavals often bled into her personal and professional relationships, straining her marriage to actor Laurence Olivier. Their union, once a beacon of mutual support, unravelled under the weight of her manic episodes. Physical illness compounded her struggles. Chronic tuberculosis left her weakened, yet she poured her remaining strength into her craft. Her performances were raw, vivid, and unforgettably human, mirroring her own internal battles. Leigh's story is one of resilience and fragility intertwined, a dance of brilliance and pain. Her life forces us to ponder, what is the price of embodying such depth, both on screen and within? 6. Greta Garbo. The elusive star whose mystique endures like an unspoken spell, Greta Garbo captivated the world with her performances in films such as Anna Karenina and Camille. But the woman behind the legend shunned the very adoration that made her immortal. Garbo was a private soul, ill-suited for the glaring lights of fame. The constant scrutiny fed her anxiety and deepened her depression. Her decision to retire at 36, abrupt and final, left audiences yearning but ensured her sanctuary. She retreated to solitude in New York City, avoiding the public eye for the rest of her days. Her withdrawal only amplified her allure, cementing her as a symbol of enigmatic beauty and talent. Yet her story also serves as a poignant reminder of the personal cost of celebrity. Garbo's silence raises a quiet, lingering question. What do we sacrifice for the world's gaze? 7. Ingrid Bergman. The radiant star of Casablanca, Ingrid Bergman mesmerized audiences with her grace and emotional depth. But the life of this beloved actress was far from the perfect image she projected. Caught in a whirlwind of scandal, Bergman's affair with Italian director Roberto Rossellini sparked a storm of condemnation. At the time, she was married with a young daughter, and the public fury reached a crescendo when even the U.S. Senate denounced her. The weight of public judgment crushed her, painting her as a fallen star. Isolated and guilt-ridden, Bergman left Hollywood for Italy to start anew with Rossellini. While their creative partnership flourished, the relentless judgment of society left her deeply anxious. Her work in Italy, though artistically fulfilling, was overshadowed by whispers of scandal. Despite the darkness, she fought her way back to Hollywood, triumphantly winning an Academy Award for Anastasia. Bergman's resilience shone, but the scars of alienation and guilt remained etched into her soul, reminding us that even those who reclaim their glory often bear the marks of their struggles. How much of her success was built on a determination to silence those inner doubts? 8. Gary Cooper. A man of quiet strength and unwavering resolve, Gary Cooper embodied the American hero. Yet behind the scenes, Cooper was haunted by insecurities and a relentless drive for perfection. He doubted his abilities, second-guessing every performance, despite earning accolades and 2 Academy Awards. The weight of fame bore down heavily on him, amplifying the smallest flaws in his own eyes. Off-screen, his life was equally fraught. A high-profile affair and declining health added to his internal battle. Cooper's physical struggles in his later years mirrored his emotional turmoil, leaving him searching for solace, even as he remained committed to his craft. Despite it all, he delivered unforgettable performances until his final day. Cooper's legacy as a screen icon endures, but the question lingers. Did the image of the unshakable hero cost him his peace? What dreams might he have pursued Had the pressure to maintain his public persona not been so overwhelming? 9. Laurence Olivier. Hailed as a titan of stage and screen, Laurence Olivier seemed invincible in his mastery of Shakespearean role. Yet even this legendary actor was not immune to the weight of perfectionism. Olivier's relentless pursuit of excellence led to bouts of depression and breakdown. His internal battles were often mirrored in his intense performances, as though each role allowed him to channel his inner torment into something tangible. His personal life mirrored this turmoil, especially his tumultuous marriage to Vivien Leigh, who battled severe mental health issues of her own. Their once passionate union crumbled under the strain of their struggles. For Olivier, every triumph seemed shadowed by a cost. His unyielding dedication to his craft masked the battles he fought within, often leaving him emotionally drained. While his performances continue to inspire, one must wonder, what price did he pay for his genius? Could the weight of his perfectionism have been tempered by a gentler world? 10. Errol Flynn. The swashbuckling hero of the adventures of Robin Hood, Errol Flynn was the epitome of charm and daring. But Flynn's carefree persona was a facade for a troubled soul. Depression, masked by a hedonistic lifestyle, consumed him. His indulgence in alcohol and tumultuous relationships only deepened his despair, creating a cycle of excess and regret. Flynn's early life was marked by instability, and as fame grew, so did his sense of emptiness. The relentless demands of stardom, coupled with his reckless habits, led to a steep decline in his later years. His iconic performances were increasingly overshadowed by public scandals and declining health. Despite his ability to captivate audiences, Flynn's story remains a somber tale of how fame can amplify the cracks beneath a glittering surface. Was his devil-may-care image a desperate shield against the darkness that loomed within? 11. Dorothy Dandridge. A trailblazer who shattered racial barriers, Dorothy Dandridge was a vision of beauty and talent. As the first African-American woman nominated for a Best Actress Oscar, she seemed poised for greatness. But behind the accolades lay a life marked by relentless discrimination and crushing systemic barriers. Every role she accepted came with compromises, a reminder of the limitations imposed by a biased industry. Often reduced to roles that emphasized her looks, Dandridge faced an industry that refused to let her shine fully. Financial exploitation and personal tragedies, including the struggles of raising a child with special needs, drove her into a spiral of despair. Her isolation grew as she was continually denied opportunities equal to her talent. Her life ended tragically at 42, a haunting reminder of how talent alone could not shield her from the harsh realities of her time. Dandridge's story raises an unsettling question. How many other voices were silenced by an industry unwilling to change? 12. Montgomery Clift, a pioneer of raw, emotional acting. Montgomery Clift captured hearts with his performances in A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity. Yet Clift's life was riddled with pain, both physical and emotional. A devastating car accident in the mid-1950s left him disfigured, plunging him into chronic pain and addiction. The physical scars mirrored deeper emotional wounds that had long been present. Clift's personal struggles were compounded by the secrecy he was forced to maintain about his identity in an unforgiving era. Alcohol and prescription medications became his solace, but they could not dull the torment he endured. Despite his brilliance, his life was cut short at 45, leaving behind a legacy both luminous and tragic. What might he have achieved had he been able to confront his demons in a more understanding world? Could his genius have been even greater without the weight of secrecy and stigma? 13. Clara Bow, the electrifying it girl of the Roaring Twenties. Clara Bow was the emblem of a dazzling era. Her carefree energy and charm captivated millions, making her the face of silent film hits like It and Wings. Yet, the luminous glow of her stardom hid a life of deep shadows. Behind the camera, she battled a storm of emotional pain born from a childhood rife with neglect and cruelty. Poverty shaped her youth, and those scars remained with her, unhealed. As the spotlight grew brighter, so did the weight she carried. Fame was relentless, and she struggled to meet its demands. The transition from silent films to talkies wasn't kind. Her Brooklyn accent drew harsh critics, and whispers of scandal began to hound her every move. She was more than a star. She was a target. Her confidence crumbled under the gaze of a judgmental world, and by the tender age of 28, she retreated from Hollywood's glare. 14. Veronica Lake. With her unforgettable peekaboo hairstyle, the sultry Veronica Lake reigned supreme in the 40s. Films like This Gun for Hire immortalized her as a Hollywood goddess. But beneath the allure was a woman haunted by an invisible battle. Diagnosed with schizophrenia, she lived a life split between fantasy and harsh reality. The Golden Age's lack of understanding about mental health left her isolated, grappling with an illness she didn't fully comprehend. Alcohol became her refuge. It dulled the pain but sharpened her decline. On set, her unpredictable behaviour turned admirers into skeptics. By the late 40s, the world that once worshipped her had moved on. Gone were the days of glamour. She struggled to make ends meet, working menial jobs and fading into anonymity. 15. Buster Keaton. The master of deadpan comedy and jaw-dropping stunts, Buster Keaton built an empire of laughter during the silent film era. His work in classics like The General still astounds audiences today. Yet off-screen, the great stone face wore an expression of despair. The transition to talkies, with its demands for words over physical brilliance, stifled his creative genius. It robbed him of control and planted seeds of doubt and depression. Keaton's life unraveled further with a failed marriage and mounting financial woes. Alcohol became his companion, a false ally that deepened his despair and jeopardized his career. Redemption came late in life, as he found renewed purpose on television and in small roles. But the scars of those dark years never truly healed. 16. George Reeves. To millions, he was Superman, the symbol of unyielding strength and hope in the 1950s. But behind the cape and tights, George Reeves was a man besieged by doubt and frustration. The fame that should have elevated him became a prison, typecasting him as a one-dimensional hero and barring him from serious roles. Reeves had dreams of being a great actor, aspirations seeded in early successes like Gone with the Wind. Yet the shadow of Superman loomed too large. His struggles weren't just professional. Financial pressures weighed on him, and his personal life was a labyrinth of turmoil. Depression crept in, and on a June night in 1959, his life came to a tragic end under circumstances that remain shrouded in mystery. Officially ruled a self-inflicted death, whispers of foul play and unresolved questions continue to haunt his legacy. 17. Gloria Swanson. Synonymous with old Hollywood's grandeur, Gloria Swanson's star shone brightly in the silent film era, and her role in Sunset Boulevard solidified her place in cinematic history. But such brilliance came with a price. Swanson, an innovator both on and off the screen, bore the burden of being a trailblazer. Her ambition often led her into the crosshairs of stress and anxiety. Her involvement in production, a rarity for actresses of her time, added layers of pressure. Hollywood's constant evolution during her career forced her to adapt, sometimes at great emotional cost. Financial troubles during the Great Depression only heightened her unease. Yet her story is one of resilience. With Sunset Boulevard, she transformed her struggles into art, crafting a performance that resonated with the pain and perseverance of a life lived in pursuit of greatness. 18. Gene Tierney. Synonymous with Hollywood's golden age, Gene Tierney's face is immortalized by the hauntingly elegant film Laura. She seemed untouchable, a vision of beauty and talent. Yet behind the flawless facade lay a world of sorrow and struggle, one that would shadow her brilliance. The turning point in her life came with the birth of her daughter, Daria. Born with severe disabilities, Daria's condition stemmed from Tierney's exposure to rubella during pregnancy, an exposure that could have been avoided had she not attended a fan event against medical advice. The guilt of this decision weighed heavily on her mind, a torment that lingered for years. Each accolade she received on the screen contrasted sharply with the growing darkness within her. As the pressures of fame mounted, so did her emotional wounds. A glamorous public image was her armour, but inside she was crumbling. Severe depression gripped her, forcing her to step away from acting. In the shadows of Hollywood, she sought treatment, enduring hospitalizations and periods of profound isolation. When she finally returned to the silver screen, it was with a quiet determination. Her later roles carried the weight of lived experience, and her candid acknowledgement of her struggles became a beacon of hope for others. 19. John Barrymore. The charismatic titan of stage and screen, John Barrymore embodied the grandeur of Hollywood's early years. Dubbed the Great Profile for his striking looks, he captivated audiences with unforgettable performances in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Grand Hotel. Yet, behind the accolades lay a man grappling with demons that would ultimately consume him. Alcohol became Barrymore's relentless companion, a seductive escape from the pressures of his illustrious career. The descent was gradual but inevitable. As his addiction deepened, his once commanding presence became erratic, his brilliance clouded by intoxication. Missed opportunities and public embarrassments eroded his reputation, leaving a trail of professional and personal wreckage. As his career waned, so did his spirit. Financial instability and isolation compounded his despair, turning his final years into a lament for lost glory. Despite these struggles, Barrymore's legacy endures. His contributions to acting remain a benchmark of excellence, a testament to his undeniable talent. 20. Gig Young. Sparkling in the Hollywood firmament, Gig Young's talent was cemented by an Academy Award for They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Behind the scenes, however, his life unravelled, piece by piece, in a spiral of despair. Young struggled with severe depression, a silent battle that shaped every corner of his life. His charm and wit on screen masked a deep well of pain. Failed marriages and mounting financial troubles only deepened his anguish. Alcohol, his chosen solace, became a double-edged sword, offering temporary relief but worsening his instability. By the 1970s, his career had all but evaporated, leaving him adrift and isolated. In a shocking and tragic turn, his life ended in a fatal incident with his fifth wife, Kim Schmidt, in 1978. The gruesome end cast a dark shadow over his legacy, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of untreated mental illness. Young's tale is a sobering reflection of fame's unforgiving nature and the critical need for compassion and support. His story lingers, a haunting echo of potential unfulfilled. 21. Barbara Payton. A name that once evoked glamour and intrigue, Barbara Payton dazzled audiences in films like Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye and Only the Valiant, her magnetic presence hinting at a long and illustrious career. But her star burned too brightly, too quickly, succumbing to the unforgiving forces of addiction and scandal. Payton's rapid ascent to fame was mirrored by an equally swift descent. Wild behaviour and turbulent relationships made her a tabloid fixture, her personal life overshadowing her professional achievements. A love triangle involving actors Tom Neal and Franchot Tone ended in a physical confrontation, shattering her public image and derailing her career. Struggling with alcoholism and substance dependency, her life spiraled further into chaos. Financial instability forced her into poverty, her once glamorous existence reduced to a series of odd jobs and desperate measures. By the time she succumbed to liver failure in 1967, at just 39, her radiant promise was but a distant memory. Payton's story serves as a cautionary tale, a stark illustration of Hollywood's brutal underbelly. Her life and death underscore the fragility of fame and the critical importance of addressing mental health and addiction with care and understanding. 22. Robert Walker. Reaching his zenith with a chilling portrayal in Strangers on a Train, Robert Walker's magnetic screen presence captivated audiences. Behind the camera, though, his life was far from the composite figure they admired. He wrestled with the shadows of severe depression, amplified by alcohol's numbing embrace. These struggles were not born in isolation. The scars of his divorce from actress Jennifer Jones left a wound too deep to heal, marking the beginning of his unravelling. Walker's inner turmoil did not merely haunt him, it intruded upon his work. Erratic moods and unpredictable behaviour strained relationships with colleagues. Yet his pain seemed to lend an uncanny authenticity to his characters, especially in his role as the unsettling sociopath in Hitchcock's thriller. Every frame seemed to whisper the agony he bore silently. At only 32, his life ended in a tragic haze of alcohol and prescription sedatives. This premature loss was a grim testament to the dangers of untreated mental illness and the perils of self-medication. Walker's story lingers, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a haunting reminder of how brilliance and fragility often coexist. 23. Lupe Vélez. Fiery and vivacious, Lupe Vélez lit up the silver screen as the Mexican Spitfire. Her comedic flair and boundless energy made her a darling of audiences worldwide. But fame's bright spotlight concealed the deep shadows of her personal anguish. Beneath her radiant smile lay profound sadness. Vélez endured an emotional storm fueled by turbulent love affairs, including a tumultuous romance with Gary Cooper. The allure of Hollywood's glittering stage failed to ease the loneliness that gnawed at her. Depression tightened its grip as she struggled to maintain her star power in an industry that favoured youth and novelty. At 36, her life came to a devastating halt. Vélez's death by intentional overdose sent shockwaves through Hollywood, revealing the profound sorrow she had so skillfully hidden. 24. Frances Farmer. Striking beauty and powerful performances in films like Come and Get It captured the hearts of audiences, making Frances Farmer a Hollywood sensation. Yet her fierce independence and refusal to conform set her on a collision course with the rigid expectations of 1940s Hollywood. Diagnosed with schizophrenia, Farmer's life spiraled into a harrowing odyssey of institutionalization. The so-called treatments she endured, electroconvulsive therapy, lobotomies, and dehumanizing confinement, echo as a grim indictment of the era's brutal approach to mental illness. Her fall from grace began with headlines detailing erratic behavior and clashes with studio executives. Cast aside by the industry that once celebrated her, she was thrust into a life of isolation and mistreatment. Her brief return to acting in the 1950s offered a flicker of hope, but her earlier brilliance could not be fully rekindled. 25. Clara Blandick. The face of Clara Blandick remains immortalized in cinematic history as Aunt Em in The Wizard of Oz. Yet behind this iconic role lay a lifetime of quiet struggle that culminated in an unthinkable decision. In her later years, Blandick faced relentless health challenges that robbed her of vitality. Chronic pain and diminishing opportunities in Hollywood left her increasingly isolated. As her physical ailments worsened, so did her mental health, leading her to a profound despair. By 1962, at the age of 81, Blandick made the heart-wrenching choice to end her suffering. She left behind a poignant note expressing both gratitude for her life and an overwhelming sadness at its decline. Her tragic end shines a light on the plight of aging stars discarded by an industry that thrives on youth and beauty.